Excited for day two?
There we go. It's a bit early, eh?
Well, thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to us. Before we begin, obviously, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather here today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and pay my respects to elders past and present. And obviously, we're super excited. We are one female down, unfortunately, but we'll see how she's going.
There may be like a grand entrance, so when that arrives, can we just get like a huge round of applause, like a cheer, like absolutely lose your mind? And that'll be what she walks into.
She would love that, I'm sure. Okay, well, because we have to keep to time, how about we start with some introductions? Well, some of you might know me. I'm Dhayana. I go by Geek. I've been around the traps for a while, and essentially a very passionate fan of diversity and making sure the gaming industry is more inclusive, which is why this panel's on. I'd like to pass it on to you.
My name is Emille. I'm also known as Emille J online, and the only reason is because Emille is taken online on Twitch, so I had to add the J, unfortunately. I am a gaming content creator, I'm a partner Twitch streamer, and I also work in marketing as the strategist for Aftershock PC.
Get the sponsor credit away. Okay. Hello. My name is Dhayana OC online because of name availability. I do a whole bunch of things. Like I'm a very, very casual amateur. I stream for fun. I do not stream for trying to make it a big thing. I'm a moderator for the LCO, which is the League of Legends Circa Oceania. So I sit there in Twitch chat and time out people who say mean things. And I'm also an Xbox ANZ Game Pass ambassador.
Hi, my name is Ruby Red. I'm a proud Llama Llama woman from Cape York, Queensland. But online I'm known as Life of Ruby. I'm first and foremost, I'm an artist. That's probably what some of you might know me for. But I do stream on Twitch sometimes, and I play a lot of Apex. Rage, yeah, anyway, that's me.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, I'm going to ask you some tough questions. I hope you guys are ready.
Yeah. I was born ready. No, I get it.
All right, well, we're all women from, different backgrounds and different cultural identities who obviously have found ourselves in gaming through a variety of different pathways. How did you get involved in gaming, and, how did you carve a path in this industry for yourself? Opening the floor to any one of you who would like to talk.
I can go first if you guys want. So I've always been into games as a kid. My first console was a PlayStation 1, really showing my age here, but it was a PS1. And I played games like Abe's Odyssey, Crash Bandicoot, Tekken, then I moved on to Nintendo, so there's like Pokemon, all that sort of stuff. And then I suddenly stopped gaming, and I think the reason I stopped was because it was seen as uncool. I'm sure a lot of you relate to that story where you kind of stop doing it in high school because you think, oh, it's so nerdy, like everyone's gonna look at me funny, so you kind of stop. And then life got in the way for me, so I took like a huge hiatus from gaming. I didn't own a console, didn't have a PC, nothing like that. I started my own business, I started my own beauty brand, and that just took up a lot of my time. And the reason I got back into gaming was because of lockdowns. I'm from Melbourne, and we had, I can't even remember, maybe 5 lockdowns. So yeah, there was a time where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna play Crash Bandicoot again. And then I just fell in love back with gaming, and I couldn't believe how much games had improved over the last 15 years. Like I had so much fun as a kid playing like the really pixelated version of like Tomb Raider and all that. But then now everything looked so stunning and realistic and really immersive. And then I realized there were online communities. I didn't have Discord, up until like 2 years ago. And my first PAX last year, it just opened up so many doors for me. And it's the reason I work at Aftershock now, is because I met people through PAX and then just got into gaming. So kind of segued, so I did start my beauty brand, and then I've always known beauty and fashion, and then I just said, well, why don't I try my hand at tech? I'm very good at marketing, so I thought I'd give it a go. Very nervous to get into an industry where I felt like it's, a little bit male-dominated, especially in PCs and tech and all that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to challenge myself and carve out my own path. And so, yeah, that's the story of how I got into gaming.
Just before I move on to Triana and Ruby, I'm curious about your marketing work. Did you have to study anything to get into marketing, or did you pick it up as, your content creation and your streaming and your beauty business, all of that?
Yeah, so with marketing, I actually studied an entrepreneurship degree at university, but my minor was in marketing. So marketing was always something I enjoyed. I just didn't know if I wanted a career in it, but I just found out I was really good at it. So.
The Uber driver was talking about photography and was driving really slow. Thanks for waiting, guys. Thanks, guys. You guys are the best. Don't mind me.
Well, just to catch you up, we're talking about like kind of how we first got into games. So we'll go, and then you can go after that, and it'll be like you've been here the whole time.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah, I'll go last. Yeah, you go.
You don't mean to put you last.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I found out that I was good at marketing. I really enjoyed it, and I felt it's sort of a skill that could translate anywhere. Like, as long as you know how to market something, you can basically take it to any industry. I started working at Aftershock about 3 months ago, and that was my first real, besides my own Twitch streaming, content creation, that was my first real dive into the world of tech and gaming. And so, yeah, it was challenging at the start because I had to switch from, going from beauty and fashion and into tech. But I feel like I've picked it up really quickly because of, my passion for gaming and the community. And so, yeah, I feel like it's something that, when you go through life, it's such an evolution. Like, you think 1 minute you're doing one thing, and then you never know, like, you meet somebody, you go to an event or something, and it completely changes your life. So that's the beauty of life. It just changes and evolves.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the special thing about gaming as well, is it brings everyone together, which is really nice. How about you, Triana?
So I started gaming as like a super young kid. Some distant relatives handed down a Commodore 64 that they had. Okay, those were laughing. Yeah, okay, you get it. This was a console. Has anyone not heard of the Commodore 64?
I thought it was
Hands up if you haven't heard of the Commodore 64. Okay, there's a few of you. All right, I want you to picture before like the NES. It was a. If you wanted to play a game, you put in the cassette tape. We've got like VHS themes. Put in the cassette tape and you press play and you type play cassette and you hit enter, and then it takes 5 minutes to play the game into existence.
Oh my god.
So that was how I started playing games as like a tiny kid. And then another relative handed down a Super Nintendo, because this old thing, we've got a we've got a Nintendo 64, we don't need this now. And I was introduced to Mario Kart and had these very kind of odd, unable to describe feelings as a kid of, why do I not want to play as Mario? Why do I want to play as Princess Peach? What does this mean? Without being able to specifically put my finger on what that was. It's like, surprise you, dummy, you're a trans woman. You're going to find that out later in life. So then through Game Boy, through, I think my first new console I got was like an Xbox, and through to now, I kind of drifted away from gaming for a while, and then came back kind of 2016, 2017, didn't have an internet connection, so I wasn't playing online games and wasn't involved in Twitch. Literally the day we got internet connected at our house was the day that I opened up Twitch for the first time on this PC, and the first thing on the homepage is like League of Legends World Championships final opening ceremony, and I'm like, what is this? So I was hooked from that second. And then, so then I just started creating content on Twitch, really as an opportunity to kind of learn about myself and practice being the version of myself that I wanted to be. Absolutely zero expectations. It wasn't to get rich. It wasn't to get famous. It was literally just, I'm doing this for fun because I want to do it, because I want to, be the person I want to be. And I'm very lucky that that has kind of spun out to being recognized by Xbox ANZ, coming on board as a Game Pass ambassador for them, and getting a whole bunch of really exciting opportunities in esports. So that's kind of my way in, if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it sounds so lovely to hear that gaming is how you kind of found yourself and came into the amazing, blossoming person that you are.
Shucks, you made me blush in front of all these people. Stop.
That's the point. Yeah, no, that sounds so amazing. And obviously you've done a lot in esports as well. You've hosted various bits and pieces, especially at Fortress, which I think you're quite a frequent host now, I would say. So that's really awesome to see you're getting all these opportunities. What can you talk about in terms of your hosting experience? How have you found getting into hosting?
So I started in high school. I started a radio station called SYN, Student Youth Network, who actually are having right this second, a 24-hour emergency broadcast because they are running out of funding. So if anyone is connected to SYN, please donate if you can, syn.org.au. But they are, that was where I had the chance to kind of learn how to be myself in a radio context where there is no visuals, there's no games, there's no way to people to see who you are. It's literally just people listening to your voice and what you've got to say. And so I had a really long time where I was able to develop that just on my own, just kind of talking behind a microphone, chatting with other people, getting really good at the art of conversation. So when it comes to hosting, and what I really love is leading conversations and being part of interviews, being in a place where I can have conversations and ask questions that set my guests up to make them look really good, like that's the goal. That's the best bit. So that serves me quite well in esports, when we've got players who are on stage who are celebrating, and we want to get to the heart of their stories and talk about what they're really good at and what they've been through. It's great when we're talking about the journeys and the story arcs that the players are on at the moment, as they might be coming into a match, and you can dive into the story of how they got there. Hearing stories now, right? It's kind of what connects us together as humans. So yeah, that's my ultimate heart for it.
Oh, so nice. I love it. What about yourself, Ruby? How did you get involved in gaming?
Yeah, I got into gaming, like anybody else, kind of from a very young age, was taught by my siblings, and just played a whole variety of games. But the kind of my first memories of playing video games, kind of enjoying them, was when I started playing Call of Duty. So I like to play a lot of FPS games. I'm very competitive in that sense. Will I ever play competitively? God, no. I'm trash. But I like a little bit of competition, like a little bit of challenges when it comes to playing games and stuff. And growing up, we went through almost quite a few consoles. Literally went from like so many consoles, like you name it. Just a lot of PlayStation, Xbox. We had like Nintendo Switch, Nintendo DS, DSi, all them jazz. So, been playing games from a very young age. My fondest memory of completing a game was like Bratz Rock Angels, because I was a huge Bratz kid. Yeah, woo! And that was the first game I ever clocked, and I take pride in that. But yeah, and now just kind of, just growing up, just moved into doing more art and stuff, and didn't really see myself kind of playing games until I started watching YouTube, and that's when I was like, oh, I really want to capture my reactions. Like I used to be an OG bro, so I used to watch a lot of PewDiePie, and that's where kind of why I started, because I really liked how he would capture his reactions to playing horror games and stuff like that. I do play horror games, but I'm a little bit of a, I'm so scared, but I have fun with it, anything for the content they're given. Yeah, and then ever since watching him, I just started Twitch, and then I just wanted a way to capture gameplay and reactions and stuff like that, because I really enjoy video editing as well. So yeah, I just kind of started Twitch to do that, and then it just kind of progressed from there, and now I'm here.
Talking at a panel in front of everybody.
Not only
PAX of all
that, I mean,
places.
I have to share this to the world. Like, you've been picked up by brands to do amazing artwork. We've got a Melbourne tram with your artwork.
Yeah,
Xbox ANZ did a Series S with your artwork.
Yeah.
Like, you have really shown how inclusive the space can be, and how much talent there is, beyond like the general usual circles a lot of us gamers are in. So it's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if any of you have seen her tram. It's absolutely stunning. Do you know if it's still running?
Oh yeah, it'll be running until next year, yeah.
I drove past it on the way in yesterday. I'm like, this is a good omen. I saw Ruby's tram.
I will say there are like 5 other trams, and not just mine. Mine's on a specific line. I can't remember the line though, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's out there. I haven't seen it in public yet, so hopefully this weekend. Other than that, we've got my mates down here.
We'll have to go and track it down and get a
Yeah.
photo of you with it.
Hunt down a tram.
Just one day hunting down one tram.
Okay, go all around the city, eh?
And what about yourself, Nat? Obviously, this is Nat.
Hi guys, I'm the one that arrived late.
Do you want
I'm
to
so
introduce
sorry.
yourself and then talk about how you got
What
into gaming?
was it?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh
and
yes,
Talk
so
about it?
I'm T10 Nat. You can call me T10 or Nat, or the one that arrived late. What else was I doing?
How you got into gaming? How
Oh
you got
yes.
into the space?
Damn. Okay. How I got into gaming. My parents weren't very excited to get me onto games. They said it was kind of like a waste of money. So I started off with the PlayStation 2, and I think I remember playing Dead or Alive 2, Tekken, and a few other games. But I wasn't really allowed to buy games. So my cousins would come over and bring some of their PlayStation 2 games, and I would play that game like once or twice in my lifetime, and then that was it. And then I never got to play Cooking Mama unless my cousins came over. So now this sounds very sad now that I'm saying it, but it's okay.
I mean, to be fair, I was right there with you in a way, so
Yeah.
I understand.
So I didn't get to play much games. I would always replay the same few games. And then for some reason at my 12th birthday, my dad got me the PlayStation Portable, the PSP. And then my first game that he gave me was poker. So I wasn't too sure why he did that. And then I learned how to play poker at the age of 12 and 13. And then my mum would take over my PSP and she goes, "Oh, can I play on your PSP? I kind of want to play the poker game." And I was like, at this point I just went back to the PlayStation 2. But yeah, I didn't get to grow up with many games. So I didn't get to play like the Pokemon games. I didn't get to play a lot of the Mario games, whatever people grew up with. And it was quite difficult because everyone would be talking about those games and those memories. I'm like, yeah, that I experienced that too. Don't worry about it. And then I think, oh my God, just thinking about it, I was going to become a therapist. I know, can you imagine me as a therapist? And then in year 11 and 12, a lot of my friends were gamers, and then they introduced me to League of Legends. Look, a lot of people hate League of Legends, but what got me into it was art. I'm a very big fan of art. And so I ended up switching over to games development. And so I switched over to games development, and then that's when I started going to games. And then going into Twitch streaming was kind of abrupt. I was meant to be going straight into game dev or going into like software engineering type of things. And then I hated corporate. Yeah, it didn't last a year in corporate. I did, it was very hard because like you studied for engineering, you studied for IT, and then all of a sudden you go from corporate to like the Twitch streaming world. And it wasn't me that made the decision. It was so many friends who said, "Oh no, you kind of suit being a Twitch streamer." I'm like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, Pokemon." I was like, "Oh, I know that person." And so, because I did have someone who was a very big Twitch enthusiast, and I didn't understand what he was talking about. He's like, "Oh, that's Monka S." I'm like, "What's Monka S?" I don't know what you're talking about. And then I ended up receiving a lot of comments, like, "You should be a YouTuber, you should be a Twitch streamer." And then eventually spiraled down to 1 year later after corporate, I quit my engineering job and then just started streaming. And then 9 months ago, for a subathon goal, we reached for me to quit my job, and now I'm full-time.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's amazing. Well done.
Fantastic.
That is really inspiring, to be honest, because I am going to go into our next topic right now, and
Wait,
it's all about...
how did you get into games? Did you talk about how you got into games?
I don't think anyone wants to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I get into games? There's a guy right there sitting down with a phone, taking photos, who got me into games. Obviously, I grew up with games, but I grew up with a PlayStation 1 that took cartridges. So I don't know what that is.
Wait, PlayStation did cartridges?
No, they didn't. But in Malaysia, you get PlayStation 1s that take cartridges. So I grew up with very poorly designed game consoles with games that supposedly are, Mario, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, and all of that. But I have no idea if they're real games or not because there were like weird random characters coming in and out, and obviously, again, knockoffs, right? So I played video games up to the point where my parents were like, okay, you need to start studying. In Malaysia, you start doing exams at 7. So we start really like going hard with extra tuition, studies, all of that. So, I kind of stopped playing games, and then I met my partner, or husband right now. And he introduced me to the Xbox community because he was streaming for Xbox in New Zealand. And essentially that kind of, I guess, birthed Mr. Geek because I just fell in love with the community so much. I absolutely love people, and I love meeting people from all walks of life. And watching him stream kind of made me realize, like, oh, okay, well, I've got a blog, a website where I was writing reviews for films and TV shows and comic books, because, I'm a huge nerd. And I thought, okay, well, this is really cool. There's, a lot of games being made by amazing people. I'm going to add that to the roster of content that I'm reviewing. And I started reviewing games and started working with publishers and various companies to promote their games and started streaming myself. Xbox was very gracious to add me to their streaming roster, and I started streaming for Xbox in New Zealand, ended up becoming a Xbox ambassador, so I ended up doing a lot of community events for the gaming community in New Zealand, and so on and so forth. And now I do a whole bunch of everything in the games industry, and most recently I launched a collective with Ace Creators. Richard's right there, I can see. Woo! Nice to meet you. I'll see you, meet you in person. I've never seen you in person. We've just launched a collective where it's all about educating the younger generation because, there's not a lot of guidelines or educational pieces out there for young kids to really come into games. And I think that's why this panel is so important as well, is teaching these younger kids and this next generation of content creators and gaming professionals about how to get involved in the industry. Not everyone has that knowledge to just start. We were very lucky. We kind of had different opportunities, and we've come from different backgrounds, taking all our skills combined to get into gaming and making a career out of it. But not everyone has that opportunity, and kids don't learn this in school, unfortunately. So that's what I do now. I go around doing talks and trying to help the next generation pursue their passions, really. So yeah, that's me in a very long nutshell. All right, well, okay. Now that we know how we all got started in games, obviously, I have to say, as an Asian woman, one of the biggest and earliest hurdles I faced is teaching my parents that a career in games is actually quite lucrative and can be quite successful. I don't know, maybe some of you have had this experience before, maybe Nat even, with what she said about her parents not really wanting her to play games. I grew up being told that the only careers that I could have that would make me successful is either a doctor, a lawyer, or the wife of a rich man. And I don't know if, obviously that is such an Asian thing. So I'd love to hear about, in each of your different roles and the work that you do, have you faced any particular challenges? And if so, how did you overcome them and kind of break those barriers? Would any of you like to go and talk about that?
You got this.
Okay.
I guess from my perspective, I had a bit too much freedom in that kind of sense. Like, I grew up in foster care. This is a bit of background for me. Grew up in foster care, so my parents aren't around. So I don't really have that parental kind of guidance kind of surrounding me. Like, I have my aunties and stuff like that who have raised me into the person that I am today. But yeah, I guess they kind of just don't have a lot of confidence or belief that I could get to where I am at this point. unless it's like, something to do with art and stuff, because, I don't really excel in anything else. I hate numbers, I hate maths, and I'm a very creative person, so all of my talents really rely on like my hands-on kind of experience and stuff like that. But yeah, like, I guess it's just I had a bit too much freedom, so then it just kind of comes to this I get overwhelmed. I'm like, well, what do I want to do in the future? I'm like, what do I want to do from here on now? And I still get into that headspace. I'll have a few breakdowns here and there. Nothing new. But it's, I think, it's just it can be a bit overwhelming not knowing where you want to go. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. Yes, it's a bit much, isn't it? A little bit stressful. But I just came, I come from like a background where it's just like, it's so open, like the world is my oyster kind of thing, but it's just like, I'm so stuck in my head, it's just like, where do I go from there? And that's like the kind of journey that I'm on today. I know that I want to continue working with the arts and stuff, and definitely want to work with, young people, but then there's also my passions of being within the gaming and content industry as well. But it's also, kicking me up the arse and, making sure that I actually push myself forward, because, I like to procrastinate, like any other.
Oh, facts.
I like to leave things a little bit too last minute, which is fine. Not really. But it's also just trying to discipline myself and be like, okay, if I really want to get to where I want to go in the future, I've got to knuckle down. Like, I have so many dreams. I want to be an animator, and then I'm like, I want to be a character designer. It's endless. But it's just like, well, how do I just narrow it down and just go forward kind of thing? So, I don't even know if that's a question. Sorry.
No, good answer, solid.
Look, I guess for me, my parents didn't really, they're just like, oh, you're just there playing games, like, good for you. And I think it only really dawned on them when I sent them a photo of the LCO stage at the first DreamHack that we had in Melbourne. And like, I think it was Rod Laver Arena, wherever it was, and like the entire thing was just people screaming for these teams. And I'm like, this is the thing, like, this is the thing that I do. And they're like, oh, there's like people, what do they do there? Yeah. And they're just watching people play games. I'm like, they're not watching me play games, God. Like, I'm just watching, and it's like, it's like sports, but it's video games. Like, oh, okay. I think that's mainly in terms of with parents, the main barrier I face is just they are from a very different generation, and this is very, very new to them. In terms of being in the industry, it's unfortunately being a trans woman, not just being a woman, but being a trans woman, because, it's part of the concern is primarily around wanting to do the right thing and wanting to be really progressive, but also knowing that if they put a trans woman on broadcast, and there have been a number of different opportunities that I've been sounded out for that haven't come through from various organisations. The concern is that the only thing that chat will talk about is the fact that there is a trans woman on screen. I remember seeing really early in the Overwatch League, there was someone who was on broadcast who happened to be black, and the entire chat was streaming like try-hard emotes. And that was all the chat was doing. And like, how do you even begin to navigate that? And acknowledging, if you've seen any like Game Changers or like all women's tournament Twitch chat, you kind of know the reaction that that's going to get. So the kind of having to educate people behind the scenes to be like, hey, if this is going to happen, this is what's going to come of it. Are you sure you want to go ahead with this? Because I think a lot of them come in really naively about it. Yeah, that's right. Like, especially coming from, just want to add on, even coming from like a First Nations perspective as well, like, we've really just come into like the Twitch ANZ space and kind of just, so me and my friends created like starting off a content group where we want to kind of educate, but also open up doors for other young First Nations people who want to get into streaming or just content creation in Drop a name,
general.
What's the name?
Blackout. Woo. So basically the idea is that we want to go into these spaces and basically black it out. So, just let, these spaces that weren't necessarily designed for us, let them know that we are here. As First Nations people, we are here, we are present, and there are more of us. So it's just kind of just opening those doors. But yeah, just in the, just kind of like creating spaces in like not only just Twitch, even just PAX and stuff like that, and just letting people know like you're going to have people like this, and it's just kind of just to be like aware and just kind of know and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's really about education at the end of the day, you know, like in terms of the reactions you get in Twitch chat and all of that, you're going to get it no matter what.
Oh yeah, it's online.
So to discount a particular person because of their identity from a job, just because Twitch chat is going to react a certain way, there needs to be more education and more conversations around that, I think, because how is the industry going to progress? How are we going to improve and let more people get the jobs that they want if we're just, you know, scared of change and scared of the reactions of the public? I mean, there are ways to control those messages as well. That's, you know, at the end of the day, Twitch chat is Twitch chat, but the conversations of the wider community can be very different. So I think that's, you know, it's a shame that that's been a challenge, and I'm so sorry that that's been a challenge.
I just want to shout out while we can, like ESL have been fantastic, who I now get to do Twitch chat stuff with for the LCO, and there is actually the superpower, because I know all of the different slurs, so I know what to time out, I know what to avoid, so, you know,
that's awesome.
swings and roundabouts.
What about
How about
yourself?
you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go Emille.
Oh, well, I actually just want to piggyback off what you said about I think we were talking about how, you know, in Twitch chat, so, you know, as a Twitch streamer myself, you know, you can foster, I mean, you make your community what you want it to be. So it's supposed to be your safe space, and you can control the narrative that's in your Twitch chat, correct? Yeah. And so that's been my experience, and it's been like very rosy and great, because anyone that's not fits within my, you know, I guess, my values, they're just not welcome in my channel. But one of the challenges I have faced coming into, as I've mentioned, I've started working at Aftershock PC. We build custom PCs, and one of the challenges I've faced since I've started Aftershock, and I guess it was one of those like light bulb moments where I've always known there's going to be trolls out there and people that don't agree with you and all that. Like, I'm well aware of that, right? So. But a massive shock to me was I was featured in one of our ads, and I'm pretty much like a spokesperson for our company. And so I was in these ads, and the amount of trolling and misogynistic comments was absolutely disgusting. And it was such a huge shock to me, because in the video, I am completely covered in like a t-shirt, and there was just comments about my body, my looks, is Aftershock starting, you know, like an OnlyFans, and all those sort of comments. And it was just such a rude awakening, because I was like, wow, there are people that still think this way. You know, if it was a male, and we have had plenty of males in our videos, you don't see any of those comments. And it's just the fact that because I am a female, and it's like I'm open to, you know, people commenting on the way I look. And it's just, it was just such an unfortunate experience where I was like, you know, it's just because I'm female, like, and I cannot help that, like, and they write things like she knows nothing about PCs, and there's that preconceived notion that females know nothing about tech and PCs, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know heaps about it, but like, we won't say that, but you know, it's just that, and it was more the wider community, because I know for a fact that ad was, you know, sort of targeted broadly. So I know it's not coming from the gaming community, because when you come to PAX, everyone's just so lovely and inclusive and welcoming, and that's what PAX is about, and the gaming community, but you know, that's people outside of that. So to me, that was a challenge, because, you know about it, but then when it actually happens to you, it's such a rude shock to you. And how I try to overcome that is that, you know, I don't take it personally. It's just, there are people that think that way, but you know, like all these lovely ladies on the panel, that's why we do panels like this, and we try to speak out about it to educate the public. You know, it's not okay to do things like that and comment on the way people look, and like, this is why, you know, we're on a panel to educate.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel like all the struggles that we face isn't exclusive, or rather isn't just about each of us individually. I think that's very common challenges that a lot of women in the industry face, a lot of people from different cultures face, and different gender identities face, which is, I don't really know what we can do to change that? I mean, we can discuss it after this, but I'd love to hear from Nat in terms of what challenges she faced.
No, I mean, I'm so sorry that you have to hear that. Like, when she shared that with our group of friends, when we watched that ad, it was such a nice ad. You know, Emille was, you know, as the spokesperson for Aftershock, she was just like, talking about it, and just the comments were just atrocious. And you handled it so well. So props to you on that. I'll
But
focus.
also, you shouldn't have to just handle it well, and that's what we're
Right.
applauding you for. You know what I mean?
It's just one of those things where I was like, I kind of just felt, you know, I'm here to do a job, and it's just so disappointing that, you know, I'm just doing my job and people feel the need to say
that.
anything, you know, taking their
feel
time.
entitled.
The thing is, like, I'm like, you know what, publicity, it's fine. Like,
But also, like, you know, if you're just doing your job and you're at Woolworths and you were, you know, in the deli, do they still have a deli? I think they.
yeah.
Which one shut them down? Was it Coles?
Look,
Yeah. Anyway, so you work in the deli, right? You know, they don't go. You go on Woolworths Facebook page, and it's like, we had a person in the deli, and it was awful, and it was terrible. Rah, abuse, send. Like, it just doesn't happen in the wider world.
Yeah.
So it is something that is very specific to the gaming community.
yeah,
Or just online in general, you get so many old people on Facebook. Just
But that's what I mean. But it
super
doesn't
young
happen.
opinions.
It doesn't happen in those communities where it's like, you know,
like in the
someone
wider
down the road.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is still that, gosh, it must be a stereotype of what a gamer looks like, what someone who might be interested
Yeah.
working in tech or being a gamer. I think it's still there, unfortunately. And that's why I think it's good to speak up about it, so that, you know, maybe someone, you know, hears about it and goes, okay, and thinks about it and thinks internally, like, you know, okay, I do have that mindset, and be honest with yourself and have that conversation and discuss it. Like, why do you have those feelings of, you know, a woman shouldn't be doing PCs or in gaming? So, you know, just be honest and say, like, okay, that's how I feel. How can I internalize that and reflect and be mindful about how I display myself publicly as well? You know, it's, if you're on Facebook and commenting, or Instagram, you are still, like, it's a public forum, so just be maybe mindful about how you come across.
Yeah. But back to you. Damn. What was the question again? Sorry, I have an ADHD
Like,
brain. So I was like,
barriers that you face.
Barriers,
challenges.
got it. For me, I did face a few when I was like back in Korea, but I'll just focus on the Twitch space. So I've been streaming for still in my second year, but I'm about to enter the third year of streaming. Yay. But yeah, I don't, surprisingly, I don't actually talk a lot about the barriers that I have to my Twitch chat. And I know that a lot of streamers are quite transparent with it, but the thing for me is, like, I know it's like, for a panel like this, we should be talking about it so people are aware this is what people experience in the field. How do we tackle it? How can we face it and overcome it, right? But I actually don't talk about a lot of my issues with my chat, just because I think I normally go to, my dad's my role model, so I always go to my dad for help, and he gives me 5 minutes, and he goes, you got this, don't worry about it, and then he goes back to, you know, doing his chores or something like that. I'm like, yeah, that's good advice, I'll just do that. And I normally handle it myself, but I think in the Twitch space, I love the Twitch space. There's so many amazing people I have met through PAX, through TwitchCon. There's still people I connect with from a very first raid that I ever got sometime in December 2020 when the COVID period started. But you have to acknowledge that, yes, there is going to be like a few toxic people here and there, and it can come from both creators and chat. And I think some of the comments that I would have gotten, whether directly to me or, you know, it catches wind sometimes behind my back, is T10 Nat, or Nat only grew because she's a girl. Nat only got this opportunity because she's a girl. Or she's only able to hang out with this person, or this person's only willing to talk to her because she's a girl. And it's some of the comments that are quite repetitive. This is just an example of one of them. But for me, it doesn't really affect me that much, just because I feel like my parents are just like, why do you care? Don't worry about it. You know yourself very well.
Yeah.
The people who approach you or say things about you, it's their own insecurities. right? You know yourself well, you know what you do, you focus on the good people. There are so many amazing people in the space. You can't let one or two eggs who are very insecure project that onto you. And I think after having that mentality, it takes a while to develop it. I feel like a lot of people can say, no, don't worry about it, but you need to have a strong mindset to be able to actually tackle that. And one of my friends' panel, Trash, who's in the audience right now, a previous panel that she was on, someone else also mentioned, I don't know if I'm 30 or not, but I just don't care about what other people say. And I'm not 30 yet, but but I'm kind of at that mental stage where it's like, yes, you're gonna have those comments, you're gonna have toxic comments like that, and you just have to be able to have that mental fortitude to put it aside. Look, your comment means nothing to me. It adds no value. And then just to go about, because I know that I work very hard. I took many hours to work on Unreal Engine. My first subathon, I took 6 months to prepare for that first subathon. So I know, and I think your actions, how you are, how you portray yourself, how you deliver yourself, a lot of people will be able to tell the type of person you are, but it just sucks that, despite such an amazing chatter community, there are going to be both chatters and creators who reiterate and speak about, in that space, it's like, oh, people only like Nat because she's a girl, or like she dresses this way. I wear PJs on stream. I have a hair roller still in my head, and I don't know. I'm just like, it's kind of awkward if I just take it off now, so I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah, no, just leave it there. It's fine.
It's on brand. And they would just make comments like that, and it's like I've heard other friends who've had comments like, oh, she's only got views because she dresses this way. I'm like, she's wearing a nice top. What are you talking about, man? And it's one thing is. You got to get out of the space where there are people who talk that way. It seems like there's going to be quite a few of those people, but if you remove those eggs, you move out of that circle, and you build your own circle of really good friends. It's such a very, very amazing experience. Thanks to all the friends I made today and this year and during Twitch. Yeah, I like you guys a lot. Cool. But yeah, it's that's probably one of the hurdles I've had, but I think it just hasn't affected me as much, just because my dad always tells me, why are you crying, man? Just walk it off. Don't worry about them. So I think growing up with that mentality, it hasn't affected me too much. But I hope that other people who may have heard of it, or other people who've had friends that experiences comments like that, is to just hopefully take the same advice that my dad gave me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I feel that.
Well,
I just wanted to jump in. There's an expression, and I'm going to absolutely butcher it, to your point, all right? And it is something to the effect of, if you're in the arena getting your ass kicked, and there are people who are in the stands watching, trying to offer advice, and there's people who have been in that arena before or are currently in that arena say, hey, do this instead, like, who are you going to listen to? Like, the people who actually have experience in that area, or people who are just sitting back watching who have no idea. And realistically, when I get stuff coming through that is abusive, or is people who, like you're talking about, are being really rude, if they're not in the arena getting their ass kicked, why is their opinion valuable?
Why are you talking to me? No.
Yeah.
Damn.
Sometimes you just gotta get into that mindset of like, when people are being negative, sometimes I put myself on a higher pedestal than them. I'm just like, I'm better than you, shut the Anyway. I stop myself. But you know what I mean? Like, just kind of getting to like, because like, if you're abusing somebody online, behind a computer, behind a keyboard, what are you doing? You're not better than anybody else. And it's just like, it's just a whole level of low. So I've just been like, people sometimes will come into my chat or just comment on anything that I post and stuff, and I'll just be like, don't talk to me. Literally, I'll just be like, don't talk to me. Why are you talking to me?
Ban.
Like, I'm the type of person who's like, I will not take crap from anybody. Like, if you're talking nasty about me, like, let's go. If you're talking nasty about my friends, well then that's when I get nasty.
So I know who to hit up if anything happens.
Because I'm not gonna let anybody. I'm the type of person that's just like, I'm not gonna let anybody talk nasty about myself, my friends, and my family. Like, end of. Like, because like, why? But that's just me personally. I know there's people that like can't really handle like criticism really well and stuff like that. But that's why you got me, Nate Gibbon. Yeah, I guess it's hard for like some people to kind of like combat that kind of stuff. But block and delete your best friend. Like, sometimes I'll get into an argument with somebody, and and I get into a lot of arguments, especially on Twitter, let me just say. So what I'll do is just like, if I get so tired of talking to racists and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, block. I'll say my piece and block because I'm petty. I have to have the last word and then I will block you, but I have to have the last word. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, block and delete your best friend, honestly. And don't feel shame for doing that too. You're trying to protect yourself from people online. Never ever feel shame for blocking somebody. It's not like a coward move, it's just you protecting yourself and you putting yourself first and foremost. So yeah.
Important and wise words right there. All right, well, just so that we don't go over time and make sure we have time for some questions, just a final sort of yes and no.
I wanted to get a jacket, and then you said final no. I was like, oh.
No, please feel free.
Oh, I'm cold.
This is going to be thrown out to the audience as well. So,
Oh yeah.
what do you guys think of the future in this space? Do you think there'll be a time where women will be considered, naturally associated with games the way men do currently? Do you think we'll ever get to that point where games is just games, everyone plays it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I have hope for that, I have hope that we will keep pushing for it to just be a normal thing and that we don't have to have arguments with people online and stuff like that. I mean, but also there's always going to be ignorant people like that. That's just legit life and stuff like that. But I do hope we reach a point where it's normal and it's not like where people kind of look and be like, oh, you're not an actual typical stop gatekeeping gaming and stuff. Like, there are so many different versions of gaming. If you play games, you're considered a gamer in my book. End of. You don't have to have the latest technology and stuff like that. If you game and you're passionate about it,
I have to say, you're also a gamer if you don't have a very high achievement score.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gaming to have fun, you're a gamer. We're all gamers here in general because we play games.
Yeah, we enjoy them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just
I just went and loaded up the IGEA report. I don't know if you'll are across this, but each year IGEA, the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association, release a study called Australia Plays, and they look at the statistics of who plays games. 48% of people who play games in this country are women. That's up from 46 last year.
Sorry, Emille.
Yeah.
As it should, negative.
I wanted to jump in and say, I think I would love to be hopeful that we will get to that place, but I think it's a broader topic issue about women equality. So I think it'll come down to if we can get there as a society, and not just in gaming, but everywhere in our society where women are seen as equals. And it's not even just in our country, it's worldwide, and there are places in the world where women are very restricted in what they can do. And if we can get to a place in our society, globally, where women are seen as equals, and I think there will be a chance, especially in gaming. So I know that's a broader topic and I don't want to go into it too much, but I think that's, for me personally, I think, in my opinion, that would be the place we need to be at, to actually have women to be seen as equal in not just in gaming, but in any industry you go to.
Yeah, very true. All right, well, I think we'll leave it at that for the moment and go to any questions that any of you might have. I don't know how we're going to do this. Is there a mic?
So just down here, we have the talking position. If you have a talky thing that you would like to say, approach the microphone, the benevolent microphone of dreams.
Don't be ashamed, be game.
Don't be shy.
Even if it is a broad question.
Also, no question is a stupid question.
And I also, while we're waiting for you to come down, I just want to shout out our tech team today: Jack, Izzy, Chris King, Alex, Nick, Sammy helping us as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for incredible efforts today and across the whole weekend.
Appreciate it.
Okay, who's up first?
Go for it.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
Earlier on in the panel, you mentioned the importance of finding your own group and finding people who are supportive of you and a supportive audience as well, compared to, the average dregs of the internet. And I was wondering, how exactly do you go about doing that yourselves in your respective industries? How have you found is the most effective way to cultivate a good community around yourselves?
Here's the quickest one. If you don't have friends, look around the room. We're your friends now. Literally, just get out there and say hi to people. Events like PAX are fantastic to do that.
Also, be genuine in your interactions with people, especially within the Twitch space. Coming into this space, I've realized that, like, don't try and, you know, suck up to people or any of that. You're better off just being your genuine self, because people will appreciate you for who you are. And if there's people that don't, then you'll know they're not to be in your circle. You don't need to surround yourself with people like that. Surround yourself with like-minded people, people who are genuine, people who will empower you and make you feel good. If you are holding on to like relationships of any kind with anybody within this space that are just not bringing a positive and bring you happiness, or just, you know, making you feel good for being you, then you need to cut those people out. Like, and it's a hard lesson to learn. I know.
No, I mean, like, damn, that's a good response.
It's such an important thing, and I've had to learn that. I've broken off a couple of friendships because I had friends that didn't respect the things that I was interested in, like K-pop or anime and all that. I was like, you're out. Surround yourself with like-minded people, but also be genuine when you're communicating with people as well.
I just like to because I know we're like on time, but so I think the way for me when I'm approaching the Twitch space is it's hard. Like, it genuinely is hard. Like, to go up to someone and be like, "Yo, hi, my name is Tita Nat. What's your name? I kind of want to make friends." You know, the first step is always the hardest. But I think when for me, when it comes to like building that circle around you, is finding, just looking around you, you'll be able to see who is, you know. Majority of people are, so you shouldn't be worried about it, but they are look for the genuine people. And it's how they speak, what are their actions. Like, I have friends who are in the audience, you guys are the best, who are willing to just introduce me to their friends. It only takes one friend to be able to introduce you to a whole circle. So, you know, just by finding that one friend, this person would introduce me to everyone. I don't even have to. I'm just sitting in the back corner like, no, you need to know this person. They're really, really cool. And then that expands you to another circle. So sometimes you don't even need to find 5 or 10 friends. You just need that one friend. And it's, one of the things is, yes, it's good to give the benefit of the doubt sometimes, but just look for that genuine authenticity when it comes to finding people and finding that like-minded person. And then slowly it will build. But I think there are different ways, is, you know, find, you know, 1 or 2 people and then grow from there, but also take the opportunity to, at events like this, be willing to just talk to the person next to you, or in a certain panel, in certain other events, introduce yourself and get to know other people more beyond the surface level, and then that is how you would build it. And just piggybacking off the idea of, like, if there's someone that is toxic, someone that does not make you feel good, it is not your fault. Just push them away. And it does take some time to build that mentality that, did I do something wrong, to second guess yourself? You don't need them.
Awesome. Well, let's take our next question.
Good question, by the way.
Great question.
Back in 2010, I think it was, when like mortgages were king, I remember rage quitting when in Rift I took my belt off and my pants disappeared on my character, of course.
That part was very important.
What games, if any, have you rage quitted over a similar ideological, I'm just done?
Or just like rage quit in general?
Yeah, just, you know, you get games that have female representation and you just look at, you go, nah, I'm sorry, that was my belt and now I have no pants. I am actually done with you, goodbye.
I don't think I've ever raged quit.
I definitely have.
Oh, okay.
I can go into it.
We're talking about raging in general.
So when I started streaming, I actually got into a game called Gwent. If you don't know what it is, it's a card game based off The Witcher, and if you played The Witcher 3, it's that mini game. But I actually played the game, the separate game outside of it, and it had esports, and I'm very competitive. The amount of times I've like grabbed my keyboard and I'm about to throw it, and then I think about how much it costs, so I put it down. So I have definitely, I had never experienced anger or like frustration like that ever, but it's something about games and competitiveness that brings it out of me, and I didn't know it existed. But yes, not very ladylike, but yes, I have experienced it in games, so yeah.
Anyone else Go on.
It just must be me. I'm
No,
just
the only
doing
thing I think of is like raging at Simpsons Hit and Run. Like that's the only thing that's going through my head right now.
This is not about women representation in games, but I spent 25 minutes trying to do one speed zone in Forza Horizon 5 one day, a couple of weeks ago, because I just couldn't figure out how to take the corner at speed, and I ended stream. I was screaming, I'm like, I'm done with this, I'm done.
I have done
I
that
took a week
before.
off, I'm not even joking.
I'm like, guys, I'm in a bad mood to end stream.
Thank you. That was a lovely question.
I deleted the VOD, don't go looking for it.
I don't rage. I don't know what you're on about. Me? I'm so calm when I play my Apex.
yeah.
Three
I
quarters of
believe
your
that.
content.
No, okay. Okay.
Hi, Doom.
Hello.
This is Doom Cutie, who runs.
Confessions of a Gamer Girl podcast. So please go check it out. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having this panel. I've actually had Dhayana on, and I've also had Ruby on the podcast, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
First of all, Triana, I know the feels about the speed zones, right? Forza Horizon. Yeah. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
It could be Emily Rand, who does like hosting and interview leading for LOL Esports. I think she came up through writing for ESPN and now is hosting the LCS broadcast. I think is involved with Worlds next week as well. So yeah, I'd look up to her, absolutely. Oh, and Sharks. Sharks is the queen. Ifya Deporter is incredible. Icon. Laura over on the LEC as well. So many incredible broadcasters.
Do they have to be?
They don't have to be, they can be anyone.
I mean, I'm inspired by anybody I come across, honestly. I have so many great interactions with people, and each person inspires me for like various different reasons. Dhayana, a big inspiration of mine, like with what she's been doing for her community and stuff. I'd love to, move forward and do that for my community as well, and just like, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just inspired by anybody I come across.
Hey Ruby, you're already doing that.
Thank you.
100%.
For me, I feel like it's quite similar. It's like I am inspired by a lot of people. A lot of people I meet, there are very redeeming and memorable qualities about them that I want to have for myself. And so I try to pick up on that and try to take that. So it could be people who are very social, people who are very empathetic. I know someone who's extremely, has a very good at picking up social cues. So they're very, very good at helping people to navigate like certain anxiety things that they have, and I want to try and have those certain traits as well. But I think, which is very obvious to my friends in my chatting community, is my dad. He's not in like the role of a streamer where I want to be there, but it's his personality, how he approaches things, his work ethic, and how he approaches life, which is a very overall type of thing that I want to approach.
Well, unfortunately, we're coming up to time, so I don't know if we're going to be able to take any questions. Maybe.
Yeah, we can do one more.
One more.
Yeah, we can do one more real quick.
Yeah,
Just
come
the last
on.
one.
Then.
Come on.
We've got, yeah, we've got a
Thank
couple
you.
seconds.
Thank you for taking one more. Thank you guys for hosting this panel as well.
Thank you for coming.
Sorry if I butcher my question, but what I want to ask you guys is basically the game that I play and stream is very male dominated, and I have a lot of people coming into my stream saying like, oh wow, you can play this game even though you're a girl, and things along those lines. And my response to that is always like, I'm just a gamer. Like we don't need to bring gender into this at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. On this, like at the same time though, I feel very proud to be part of the like women gaming community and like #girl gamer, like I'm a girl gamer. And I feel conflicted because I want to be normalizing women in gaming.
Yeah.
But then I feel like I'm bringing up gender at the same time. So I just want to know how you guys approach that conflict if you also feel it.
I would just say, just be confident in just who you are and stuff. You are a girl gamer. You are a gamer in general. Like, I don't think you're putting I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Like, I get it. We're kind of contradicting ourselves when we talk about stuff like that. But also, I feel like we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves. We're gamers at the end of the day. Whether we're male, female, or non-binary and all that jazz, we're just gamers, you know? And it's just, don't put that much pressure on yourself, because then you'll get into your head, you'll be overwhelmed, and then what people will say in your chat, you'll take on board and it'll sit with you. Like, try not to do that. It's a lot harder it might be a lot harder for a lot of people to do, but I guess that's one of the advices I would give, is just to just embrace it and just not try to overthink things. Because coming from my perspective, I overthink a lot, like a lot. So I'm trying to like practice and preach and try not to do that. So we can do that together.
Yeah, I think the way that I would approach it is I'm typically, every time there's a troll in my chat, I just kind of like meme with them.
Yeah.
Really, I just meme with them. I'm like, yeah, and I'm pretty goddamn good at the game too.
Yeah.
And I think when you focus less on the thing that they're bringing up that may make you be like, you know, why are you bringing this up? Yes, I am gaming. Yes, I am a girl. What is a problem? I just like focus on something else, which is like, oh yeah, I play this game, and I'm actually pretty good at this. And I just focus more on the game because that's the thing that's the most important, right?
Yeah.
And then typically 99% of the time, the chat is like, oh, she doesn't want to talk about that, she's just talking about the game. And then they end up just focusing on the game. If you want something to happen, if you want something to happen in the chat, which is like for them to feel normalized about it, she's just a chick also playing games, she is a gamer, you have to kind of start emulating that energy. It's like, oh yeah, I just play that game, I'm really good at this, I'm going to focus on this achievement. Chat starts to foster that type of mentality. And so eventually you'll start to build a community in chat where you actually don't even have to say it yourself.
Yeah.
They will do it for you. So you're the one to start it off, you're really confident, just focus on the game itself and like, yeah, look, I also play this and do this, what do you do? It will naturally just drift off into creating that space. Yeah.
Can I ask which game you play?
Yeah, Age of Empires 2.
Oh,
sick!
Let's go! Hey, woo!
You guys should all give it a go.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you.
If anyone else has any questions, you can always come and ask us after we finish up, and we'll just hang around outside. And feel free to come up and talk to us. I mean, I'll be around. Or come find us at the show and have a chat.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Wait,
Thank you for coming. Appreciate you.
Wait, before we go, can we get a
Thank
photo?
you.
If anybody wants to stick around, I'd like to get a photo for the gram.
Oh,
if
so
you
you
would
get
like.
a photo of everyone in the crowd as
Yeah.
well. I see what you're saying.
Photo right now. With
Let's-
someone else's phone. My phone's shit.
Yeah. I'll do it.
Can you believe we made it through the whole broadcast without swearing, the whole panel without swearing?
Look,
Oh no, that's oh my
Great,
gosh!
it's over.
I'm dead.
How
Oh
are we
my
gonna do
gosh!
this?
Because I have a potty mouth. I'm just saying. But I'm not gonna apologize for that because.
Should I be sitting down or?
Oh. Everybody smile.